Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So, I guess it finally happened. First they went after Yuzu, and now they're going after Ryujinx. Now, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, like, seeing this news, it makes me wonder, like, what the fuck is the point of me continuing to even care about video games? Now look, for the past couple of, like, months, I've been discussing, the fact that we don't own games anymore and stuff like that. And emulation, I've always considered emulation to be like the end goal of video game consoles, if that makes any sense. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. So, I've explained this in the past. I buy physical copies. I think that it makes more sense to buy physical copies of video games than buying digital copies of video games because you own them, you have control over those games somewhat, or at the very least, you have more control over fucking digital games. And to me, the end goal of every physical game that I buy is eventually to emulate them. Because at the end of the day, my PS5 right now it's working just fine. I have no fucking complaints. It's a good ass fucking console. This shit's not gonna last forever. There's gonna come at some point this will stop working. At some point every fucking PS5 will stop working, and when that happens, you know what I'm gonna fucking do? I'm gonna emulate my PlayStation 5 games because at that point that's gonna be the fucking end goal. I'm hoping that there's going to be a PS5 emulator that's mature enough at that point. But given my history, for example, with PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games, I have games. I have physical copies of PlayStation 2 games. I have physical copies of PlayStation 3 games. You know what I do with them? I fucking dump them. I dump them, take those fucking video game files, I copy to my computer, and then I play the fucking video games that I bought, that I fucking own, and now I'm emulating them. And usually, well, not usually, well, with PlayStation 2 games, I'm definitely getting a better experience. With PlayStation 3, it kind of depends because some games might be buggy. There might also be some audio glitches that are probably not really all that worth it to deal with. I deal with it because I fucking like emulation. But anyway, right now, when I'm seeing this, I'm thinking to myself, am I gonna feel confident buying the Switch 2? Like, genuinely speaking, because right now, I have a fucking Switch. I bought a Switch, was it like, I don't know, I think it was last year. I bought a Switch, if it wasn't last year, it was this year. I bought a Switch, and I do not regret buying that Switch. Why? Because I buy games, sometimes I'll play them, but usually I'll just fucking dump it and then test it on Yuzu or fucking Ryujinx, which by the way, I still have these emulators. Nintendo can fucking take this video down if they want to, but I do have them. Here's Yuzu, and there's also Ryujinx. Thankfully, these are flat packs, which usually they tend to be archived even after these emulators are fucking shut down. You should probably do the same thing. Not that it's impossible to find these emulators somewhere on the fucking internet, because good luck trying to delete all of them. But anyway, regardless, like, here's the thing. I may have Yuzu and Ryujinx right now, but since they're no longer, since development is stopped, that means that new games might not necessarily run on those emulators very well, because usually it tends to take like some time before games fully mature on these emulators. There's usually some patches, some development that needs to be done for games to run. Like, there have been games that ran sort of day one, but a lot of them, they do tend to require some additional tinkering here and there, and that's not gonna happen anymore. I'm sure there are probably other emulators out there that are forks of Yuzu. We're probably also gonna see forks of Ryujin and stuff like that. But how long will it take before Nintendo eventually goes after those? Because with Ryujinx it took certain months, but and now they've been fucking, now they attacked them. Now they didn't fucking threaten. I mean, they did threaten them legally, but I don't think they took them to court. I don't think they reached any type of like legal settlement where they have to fucking pay a certain amount. I think they just quietly shut it down, which I hope. I think that was the. I think the maintainers made the good decision there to just back off, because I don't really think they probably. I highly doubt they have enough money to take on Nintendo. Even though, if I'm being completely honest with you, I really wish at least someone would. Because here's the thing about emulation. A lot of people a lot of people either think emulation is definitely illegal, but then there are people that also think that emulation is definitely legal. But in all actuality, the actual legality of emulation is very ambiguous. Because here's the thing. Based on previous court hearings, based on previous cases where emulators were sued by companies like Sega, like Sony, I think also Nintendo, in a lot of those cases, the emulators did win, but at the same time, like, that really only established the fact that the act of emulation, like the software in and of itself that allows you to emulate video game console, they are, I would say to some degree protected legally, at least based on precedent alone. I think they established that it falls under fair use, and then they also mentioned that reverse engineering is illegal, stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty because I don't have the court papers, so I can't quote. But basically, it was established that those emulators were legal. Now here's the thing: emulation in and of itself might be legal, but downloading ROMs off of the internet, that's definitely illegal. Downloading BIOS files and product keys off of the internet, that's definitely illegal. Now, a lot of people that use emulators are probably doing at least one of those two things. And so, it is certain that a lot of people that emulate games are probably not doing it completely legally, but that doesn't mean that you can't. You can dump your own files, you can dump your own games, you can dump your own BIOS/product keys. But here's where things become complicated, is that act in and of itself, it's not entirely clear whether or not they're actually legal. And the reason for why it's not clear if it's legal or not is because dumping firmware, dumping video games requires circumvention of DRM. And that actually is illegal. It's actually written on the DMCA and copyright law that any act of like anti-temperament, not anti-circumvention. What I meant to say was any ways to try to bypass anti-temperament software, anti-circumvention, any type of like decrypting software, stuff like that to try to bypass encryption is considered illegal. It's considered a violation of copyright law, DMCA, whatever the fuck. Now the thing is that does indeed imply that these dumping tools that are often distributed on the internet are illegal. The problem though is on the DMCA, it also states that there are some exceptions for when you can do that, and one of those exceptions is for archival purposes. So if I have a video game and I have the physical copy with me, I still have it, technically speaking, I have the legal right to archive it. The problem though is for me to archive video games, the software needed to do that is considered illegal. And so the question becomes, am I doing something illegal by dumping games? Honestly, it's not entirely clear. Like, we're not sure if Nintendo were to take all of us to fucking court whether or not we would win or not, because to be honest, it's not clear. I don't think even Nintendo knows. I think that's one of the main reasons for why they're not as aggressive with emulators as I'm sure they would like it to be, because they're probably not sure. And to be honest, I don't think they would want to, because here's the thing. Let's say Nintendo does take these emulators to court. And I think in the case of Yuzu and Ryujinx, I think they really wanted to go after them because they found an angle that they could probably hammer in. And I also, in my opinion, I think they kind of knew that these projects probably wouldn't have enough money to fight against Nintendo, and that's why they're kind of bullying them right now, especially in the case of Yuzu, where I think the reasons they gave for why they were doing something against the law were fucking stupid. Like, they were mentioning the fact that, they were basically blaming Yuzu for a lot of the leaks, which I think are fucking stupid. It's like, brother, first of all, if you want to blame anyone for fucking leaks, blame yourself. You probably have fucking people out there working on your team and working the people that are going around distributing your games to other retailers. Just bear in mind that some of those retailers are selling their games fucking early to some consumers. Maybe you should fucking look into that and not fucking emulators, because honestly, those are the ones that are actually fucking responsible for leaking your games. Because not like emulation is the only way that you can fucking leak gameplay. You have modded switches out there that people can use, but whatever. Whatever, I guess. Regardless, I think they probably do know that they can't scare away these emulators, but but at the same time, I'm not sure if even Nintendo. Well, maybe Nintendo might be a little bit pompous and confident right now. But I think other companies like Sony and Xbox, they probably, if they could take down emulators, they would. But I think they're genuinely not sure if they can reasonably go after the whole anti-circumvention angle, because if this goes to court and it's decided that, well, since it's for archival purposes, then you are allowed to dump games, then it's over. Like, emulation becomes officially legal. Like, even Nintendo wouldn't have a way to fight against fucking emulators. And so, yeah, that's kind of the situation we're in right now. And a part of me kind of wishes that there was one emulator that had enough money to fight against Nintendo, because look, man, like, even if what we're doing is illegal, I just wish we had fucking answers. I really do. Like, I can't continue to stay in this world where, like, because right now, like, because let me explain you the situation I'm in right now. Like, I don't see myself buying future gaming platforms. Like, Xbox, I'm definitely not buying the next Xbox. Motherfucker, I haven't even bought the last two Xboxes just because they're fucking abandoning physical media. Their consoles are becoming more and more reliant on the internet. Like, that shit's basically a fucking brick if you pull off the internet cable, so I'm not even gonna bother. PlayStation is slowly heading in that direction. It's not full there, but, you know, there's the fact that their Blu-ray drives now requires an internet check. There's also the fact that, at least with the PlayStation 5 Pro, they're not planning to ship with the Blu-ray. You have to buy the detachable one, which requires a fucking internet connection. But then there's also the fact that, who knows, maybe at some point in the future they might decide, oh, you know, we're gonna sell more. Like, what if we start getting to the point where they start selling more units that come without a detachable disc drive than actual detachable Blu-ray drives out there in the market. It's gonna get to a point where the only way you can get those is by buying used. And, you know, assuming that you're not going through fucking scalping bullshit, then for a lot of people, maybe if they continue with this business plan with the PlayStation 6 and decide not to ship with Blu-rays, it might get to a point where, you know, you can't really reliably have a fucking console without a Blu-ray. And if that's the direction that Sony wants to go with, then I'm not gonna fucking buy a PlayStation 6. And so, no Xbox, no PlayStation. What else is left? Nintendo. Well, Nintendo's not going after fucking emulators. So in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm buying games and I'm only allowed to buy in the hardware that you guys distribute, and I can't fucking play them in emulators, then I don't know if I even want to fucking buy these games. So I'm not gonna fucking buy them. So my only chance is PC. Now, PC has some advantages. There are a lot more indie games. You can, well, I hope you can emulate video games, but in the current situation we're in right now, it seems like Nintendo is on a fucking war with emulators, so maybe that might not be reliable. I guess there's also older games, assuming that they won't run into fucking critical dependency issues. I mean, with Proton, that might not be a problem, but if you're on Windows and Windows starts cutting off some of the legacy software that they bundle with, might become a little bit harder to get into that. But I don't know. I'm sure there's probably a solution you can go with that. But regardless, like, I have to think to myself, okay, that's nice at all, but do I really want to continue building a PC just so I can? I mean, I guess a part of me kind of would do that, to be fair. Like, I probably would continue to build upon my PC just so I can play the games that I still own. But I will tell you one thing: I would definitely not build a PC so I can primarily buy games on Steam, because I am not fucking relying on accounts. I'm not up for that shit. And so, unless every single fucking video game starts launching their games on GOG, which is the only platform that I actually fucking trust, that I can reliably buy games confidently, if I'm gonna have to solely rely on Steam, then I'm just gonna walk away from PC gaming, or at the very least with new games, like at least AAA games, I guess. With indie games, maybe I might give them a pass, but you know what I mean. Like, my interest in gaming right now is kind of withering, because I feel like every month there's like new news of like gaming companies finding new ways to screw over us as consumers, and if it continues to head in this direction, then fuck it. I'm just not gonna fucking bother with video games anymore. I mean, I'm thinking about it right now. What's the game that I've been playing recently? Blue Reflection Second Light? A game that I played 2 years ago? And after I finished, you know what happened after I finished playing that game? I was thinking to myself, you know what? I'm thinking of playing this game again. Literally, after I finished the fucking game, I thought, why not play this again? I don't know if I'm actually gonna do that soon, but I'm thinking about it, like, do I even need, new games at this point? Like, the games that I already have right now are good enough for me to play for years on out. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the direction that I'm heading right now. I'm not sure. It's just fucking sad what's going on right now. Like, I don't want to abandon the gaming industry as a whole, but at this point, it's like we're in such a dire situation that I honest to God believe this is going to be the last generation for me. But who knows? Maybe there's gonna be a turnaround.